consider, it's not funny, that they're systematically unprotected by police in all sorts of countries. So, so I would like to pose some questions about what cross-gender identification might be, but in order to do that, I'm going to tell you my story. Okay, so I went to a slam poetry event at the San Francisco Public Library, which was genderqueer and a number of things like that. An array of transgender people spoke out, and whole poems were wrought from the demand to be called by another name. It's very interesting. A bid to be recognized or to be called by this name. So the lyrical appeal or the solicitation of the poem was precisely, call me this, see me this way, do not call me this, do not see me that way. So there were often fierce and angry poems and performances. There was also kind of bodily movement, there was some dance, there was some acting out physically some of it was quite militaristic, some of it was quite romantic, some of it was quite seductive, huge range. The genderqueer speakers made fun of their inability to inhabit any category well. Many of the transsexuals were firm in their support of a binary gender system and their right and need to fit within it. So you can imagine, there was some real tension on stage. One trans woman's poem expanded on her anger at the Michigan Women's Music Festival. I'm sorry for the non-US people. Maybe you know what this is. It's an annual cultural event that provides a so-called separate space for women-born women. And they have consistently not allowed trans men or non-biologically born women to come. So neither trans men nor even trans men are biologically born women. They can't come, but neither can M to F trans women. Or any women who have emerged from a masculine anatomy. Okay, so this trans woman's poem had a refrain. She decided, "Fuck you," and this music festival. "Fuck you," the psychiatric diagnostic terms, the whole DSM. "Fuck you." She said, "Fuck you" to various sections of the diagnostic manual. She said, "Fuck you" to academic feminism, all of it. She said, "Fuck you" to departments of women's studies. That was bad. And then after saying literally "fuck you" to all these institutions, she said, "and fuck you, Judith Butler." And it was a moment that I survived admirably well. In a subsequent, I actually turned to my friend and I said, "Is she saying that she wants to fuck me?" So in a subsequent email correspondence with this woman, I came to understand that she took me or my name to stand for gender, flexibility, variability, subversion, non-fixity. Okay. And as a trans person, she thought this queer term didn't meet her own need for fixity and for names that unequivocally stand for the gender to which they refer. And she wanted to hold on to a binary gender system, which she valued a lot, and she wanted to be within it. So the "fuck you" was rough going. But I think we'd probably be remiss if we didn't see, it's interesting, it actually links to the Eichmann trial. I mean, I thought since it was "fuck you, Judith Butler," that she was at least addressing me, right? That there was a you, there was a direct address. And of course, what was clear is that she never thought in a million years that I would be at this event. Why would I not be at this event? I mean, what is it about me that would just make it completely impossible for me to be at a genderqueer poetry slam in San Francisco Public Library on a Sunday at 4 o'clock? Okay, but in her mind, it was completely impossible. It was just completely unthinkable. In any case, I did try to latch onto the you, I guess this does link with everything. Okay. enough anger was it being addressed? And I even think there was what my psychoanalyst friend Ken Corbett calls a bid for relationality. Like, fuck you, Judith Butler. Are you listening to me? You know, would Judith Butler ever hear what I'm going to say? You know, fuck you, Judith Butler. Okay. So, now, I continue to be dismayed by the use of fuck you as a term meant to injure another human being, since I would think that fucking you would be something I or anyone else might do from other kinds of sentiments. And in fact, I did hear a story that happened at the New School some years ago, where apparently at the end of a lecture that Julia Kristeva gave, a student stood up and yelled at her and said, you know, you just gave a talk about heterosexual love and you don't really care about women, and the clitoris doesn't even appear in anything you have to say, and you know, just went on and said, you know, I came into comparative literature to study you, and I actually now wish that I had never done that, and I wish that you never existed, and I hope you never come back here, and I wish you to die. and apparently wept and fled out the room, and the doors banged, and my friend Jay Bernstein, I don't know if you know him, glasses, right, oh, well, Julia, I'm very, very sorry, and Julia said, oh, no, don't be sorry, it was so passionate. And then Julia says, it is evident she was madly in love with me. Okay, so now I sadly lack such narcissistic resources, so I didn't really have that option. You know, I couldn't hold on to the fact that, oh, really, she loves me. The opposite is true, right? The poetry slam had its particular place and purpose within the trans and queer communities, and it was actually an effort to try to bring various kinds of communities together that had some real tensions, including butch, femme, gender, queer, transgender, pre-op, no hormone, no ho, trans men, trans women, men, women, post-op. Okay. I don't know, what was I doing there? What was I doing there? Anyway. It seemed to me that the rough and lucid kind of speaking that was happening in the poetry slam event, and which I think poetry slamming allows, is an effort to break through certain kinds of public shame and fear, right? Because it also requires a you with whom a new kind of conversation is possible. You could say that it's also an effort to try to reconstitute new social realities, to bring into recognizability new social, sexual, gendered forms that for which we lack adequate vocabularies or toward which there is great resistance. Of course, when one says fuck you, it's a way of telling the you that one does not want to have a conversation with that you. It's sort of like, I sentence you now to death by drowning, Kafka, or, you know, you must hang, Eichmann. And it's an unfortunate fact that we sometimes have to address others we no longer want to address. It's a really hard problem. Even breaking up is rough, because you usually have to say it. You could just leave, I suppose, but usually you have to actually say to a person, this is what's happening, and one would rather not have to actually address that person, right? So that's a rough moment. You engage a relation to break a relation. It's also the case that we sometimes have to address other people with phrases as a way of wounding them or stopping them, or precisely because we think they're not listening or are incapable of listening.